What's poppin', world? Back at it again. Let's get right into it. Now I want to have a serious conversation with y'all. Um, Not to say that all my other topics ain't serious, but this one's definitely more serious than most, right? Because we talk about finances, we talk about success, we talk about everything in between, right? Just adulting and everything that comes along with it. Um, I want to talk about loneliness when it comes down to OTR, right? Um, some days you deal with it and you feel great because you're optimistic about the future. Everything that you're sacrificing, everything that you're moving towards, and you feeling like everything that you're working towards is gonna pay off eventually, right? We you know, uh, try to exercise delayed gratification, right? Which is the most healthiest, one of the most healthiest, ways of, just going after success. But there comes a time where there's certain days where you just really question, like, what am I doing this for? Right? Is the end game, is what I'm giving up really worth what I'm trying to acquire? Big house, fast car, take vacations, self care, um, everything in between, right? And some might say, yeah, right? It's a no brainer. Why wouldn't you want to improve yourself and get to the next level? I guess the question is just really like, can you overachieve? Can you exceed expectations at the expense of the things that you may take for granted on your day to day? It's tough, right? Because when you're doing OTR, you're really you're off grid, man. It's kind of like playing in the NBA, right? You might be going on for a road trip that exceeds, the time that you would want to be home, your home time. And that causes a strain on your support system. Now, loneliness may never come by as an OTR driver if the principles and the foundation is set in place within your support system. Everybody understands what you're doing. You're understanding that though you're the one actually going out of your way to lay down this foundation, on the flip side, the people that you are leaving at home are also making a sacrifice because they're being deprived of your time. They're being deprived of your time and also making a sacrifice. So when you're talking about, I did this, me, I'm grinding, I'm working, I'm over the road, I'm stressing, they're stressing too in their own way. And it's just not right to be selfish with that. But loneliness, loneliness in trucking. I know after a while, loneliness doesn't affect you as much, but then do you become so submerged with your circumstance that it disallows you to be interdependent, to be able to coexist with someone because you're so self-efficient that you've created an ecosystem that nobody else can fit in, right? Because you're in charge of all the responsibilities and you don't want to delegate that because you just relish that autonomy, that power. You feel me? That absolute power, control over yourself, where you look at it like it's not even worth the risk. Because with most relationships comes conflict, right? And I guess my question to anybody that's been OTR for a while, because I've only been doing this for like a month, and I feel like a big transition has changed in my life, And there are some adjustments I still feel like I need to make. But you do feel like it's you versus you. It's you versus the road, but really it's you versus you because it's bigger than the road. It's you battling solitude and all these emotions because you're isolated, right? You're battling yourself every day to overcome your next circumstance and next situation and not succumb to it. And I guess what made me kind of make this video is when you feel like people should be understanding, but it still ends up your fault. And let me expound on that. As a grown ass man and as a grown ass adult, despite what you do or what you're doing it for, it's a thankless job to be a man. Um, at times. To throw yourself out there and expect that people are gonna have empathy towards what you do for a living and expect people to be able to relate to that or have empathetic sentiments towards it. Like, oh, you're a hardworking person. Oh, you're appreciated. Let me value you. Let me cherish you. Let me, like, let me acknowledge you. Um, I could be wrong. Maybe there are people that have people in their lives that actually go out their way and acknowledge what they do, and honor it. But or is that just the hat that the man has to wear? Is that not even supposed to be an expectation? Are you supposed to keep your work separate? Right? How do you compartmentalize that? How do you not let your professional life bleed into your personal life? Right? Especially when you're enduring it in real time. Do you not become available until you're able to subside those things aside? Because let's be honest, right? Truck driving, as much as they don't want us to do it, being on the phone is a requirement. I don't think they're expecting people to drive all those miles, all them hours, alone, not talking to nobody, just in solitude and isolation. All they doing is listening to music and podcasts and looking at the road. Some people can do it, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and speak for the majority and saying people are being on the phone helping pass the time. Let's just be honest, right? So, as a man, right, or women out here that's doing the same thing, you feel me, making the same contributions and sacrifices, because I don't want to downplay it like this is just a man thing. But is that something you're just supposed to wear as an adult? Like, hey, they're not supposed to understand the sacrifice that you make. You're just supposed to show up as a person that can compartmentalize whatever stress and whatever they're enduring and just leave that at the door, and you come into the house and you're just supposed to show up as a person that doesn't do nothing with their time. Like, I think that's where the loneliness comes into place, where it's like, who are you? What are you? What are you doing? What are you doing it for? You got so many questions, and it's a battle within, right? Because you're constantly refining and testing and questioning what you feel like what is and what isn't. Some days you feel like the strongest man in the world and you can take over everything. And then other days you feel like, did I make a mistake? Did I bite off more than I could chew? Is there something else I could be doing? Do I need to backtrack? Was I happier before I made this decision? And if I was the sacrifice that I made to be this quote unquote better person worth it? And I'll tell you this, right? Because now I'm starting to talk through this, and maybe this YouTube thing and social media thing for people that do things in isolation is an outlet for them to interact or still feel like they got some kind of touch on the world. And really, I just look at it like this. Maybe you do keep moving forward, right? Maybe because you're being tested and the ones that are being tested around you, maybe everybody's metal's being tested when doing this, right? And I just say all that to say is that for those that's out here, this is a tough ass job. This is a tough ass occupation. I could think of 95% of occupations you get to go home and sleep in your own bed. This shit right here, it's it's tough. It's tough. It's tough as fuck. Cause it's so many scenarios that I feel like truck drivers go through that the regular everyday person just can't wrap their mind around because they can't imagine being 400, 500, 8,000, not 8,000, but like 800, 1,600 miles away, right, from home. And then in order to then come back, spend a couple of days at home, and then leave again. I just think that would just make most people uncomfortable, regardless of how much they're being compensated. The feet is your feet is literally moving from up, like the ground is moving from up under your feet literally every day. You never feel like you got solid footing, and it's only up to your mind. It's a mental game. That's why trucking, yes, it's has a physicality element to it, but really it's a mental game. Because if your mental isn't solid, you're gonna be crushed by this. It has to be solid footing up here. The physical, you got to detach yourself away from the physical, and I think this is why trucking can really make or break somebody because it's all about your mindset, right? And that's why I just say like loneliness. How do you battle loneliness? How do you battle solitude, isolation? Some people's nature, and me, I'm naturally introverted, so I'm not even a person that thrives off of interacting with people. I'm a very self-efficient, you know, to myself individual. And it's tough for me because it's painful. You feel me? It's painful to do what you do and nobody gives a fuck. People just be like, oh, well, that's the life you live. It ain't me. And I was just talking to somebody, right? And I'm not going to name any names, because this was just a good case study, right? When people sit up there and they look at people that just don't have a shit together, they don't have their finances, right? People that got their shit together just definitely look down on them and be like, you're just, who are you to society? But I just think that those kind of people, you feel me, are measured on a different barometer. Like, I don't think people that don't have much go and walk around with their head down. If anything, there's an argument that can be made. They live a better life of abundance because they're not feeling like they're being controlled by their circumstance, right? And I'm not trying to justify not having your shit together. I'm just giving y'all a perspective that is there a part of the mountain to where you wouldn't want to get to the top, right? Is the juice worth the squeeze? If you're one of them people that just like, hey, I just want a car, a house, family, some dogs, And that's it. I don't, yeah, the American dream is harder to achieve more than ever, but it's still not obtainable. It's very obtainable. I'm just saying exceeding that, being a business owner, being somebody successful. I can see why certain people lose intimate and very, long-term relationships due to their drive to want to be the best because it requires you to be so consumed with who you are and what you're trying to be that everybody else is a very distant second. And some people, as much as they care about you as a person, don't want to play that position because they feel like they're being deprived so much of the person that they love to where they're only getting the crumbs and bits and pieces of this person after every bit of energy is expended towards this person fighting to accomplish their purpose, right? So some hard, tough decisions have to be made because some people are going to just leave, right? And I think that's something I have not really wrapped my mind around. Of course, I can't outrule it. I can't act like it hasn't happened to me before in the past. But it's like, do people really sit up there and look at success and be like, yeah, that's too much success for me. I don't, that's too much discipline. I just rather not. I'd rather have a regular life and have more laughs than success. Um, to each his own, man. I could just say to anybody battling with depression or anxiety or any kind of mental issues with this, my best advice, and maybe y'all got some advice for me. I don't know. This is the best thing I can tell y'all, right? Find your outlets. Find the things that stimulate and entertain your mind that doesn't require another person, right? And then also as well, keep your space clean. Uh, and keep up with yourself. Make sure you keeping up with yourself. Because this industry can deteriorate you. It can chew you up and spit you out. I mean, it's just the nature of this because no restrooms when you need it, no food, drinks when you need it if you're not prepared. You're always in somewhere unfamiliar. Like it's just, there's so many moving parts and variables you can't even really wrap your head around it. You only can really zero in on what you can control. And that has its limitations, right? So I don't know. I don't know. It's a tough question. Um, I don't want nobody just sitting up there feeling bad for me, like, oh, he's lonely, or I don't, shoot. I mean, some motherfuckers might be laughing at me, like, oh, this lonely, this pitiful individual, or this grown ass man sitting up there crying because he lonely. Like, I don't know what to say about that. You feel me? Like, I just feel like who we are and what we are as people, sometimes we can be the very thing that we despise the most, and meaning is that like you try to play to your strengths that it becomes a weakness. You feel me? That people can exploit. So you don't want to be consumed with so much of what you are, you forget who you are, is what I'm saying. Because they could be very two different kind of things. And you got to know how to balance both. So I can just sit up there and say is that like if y'all doing a tough job that's requiring sacrifice, y'all working them sleepless nights to get to the next day, and you coming back home, or you got people at home that's unappreciative, or they don't acknowledge your work, or they feel like you got to subside your own emotions to acknowledge like that's why I say it's a balance and it has to have context because on one end they are making a sacrifice as well by not being around you. You feel me? And on the other hand, is like if you don't have a great support system and people still draining your energy, it's a tough life. You feel me? It's a tough situation to deal with. So, like I said, OTR, it's not the most craziest thing in the world, but it's like it's I can only imagine the people that, I don't know this is gonna be a controversial take, but the people that sit up there and they might live in poverty in Mexico, cross the border illegally, find some job, you feel me? Under the table and sending that money back to support their family. You feel me? Like being away from their family months, sometimes years. You feel me? Just to seize a new opportunity because where they're around, there's really not much to get. Um, Sacrifice, you feel me? And sometimes loneliness comes along with that word sacrifice. And that's something that maybe I haven't I felt it, but to this degree, it just maybe I'm just having one of them days, right? Maybe I wake up tomorrow, I feel better, but this is just a video for as people that's dealing with that. You feel me? I understand stress, anxiety, you know, anything else you dealing with up here, you feel me, that you battling. And everybody kind of dealing with something. Uh, I just say all that to say is that you got to keep your mind right. You got to keep your mind right. You got to find your ecosystem of things that's always going to protect your mind from, going off the deep end. You feel me? So that's all I got for y'all. Comment, like, subscribe. I'm signing off. More videos in the way. All right, I'm going.